There you go. I got a nice compliment from Kevin, who was editing, when he was like, last episode he's edited. He's like, I lost sync at some point, but your laugh was so loud at one point that I was able to hear it on all the tracks, so I was able to save it. And I was like, cool. I'm glad that my overbearing laugh has saved the episode.
Dude,
very nice.
It comes in handy, Chad.
It comes in handy, yeah. Let's start talking. Paul, you said you got a story.
You had a movie that you said I need to watch that I was talking about in a recent Continue episode.
Oh yeah, no, I believe it was on episode Continue. Go to youtube.com/continue. That someone
Continue show.
Continue show. Oh, I'm so sorry. Continue show. Man, you guys really should have gotten that Continue URL locked down though.
I know.
Shit. But someone had told you that Tom Hanks's The Burbs is a bad movie.
So yeah, someone told. I don't know who it was. I feel like it was my buddy Joe Williams. I feel like Joe. You went to his house in Boston, Chad.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, but put him on blast.
But Joe Williams told me that it was a bad movie. I'm pretty sure it was that. Or was Tom Hanks and Joe in the volcano as well? Or is that
Joe versus Joe versus the volcano is good. Joe in the volcano is just like a torture porn.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm gonna put my flag down on this. That's a phrase, right?
Yeah.
The Burbs is one of the best 80s movies ever. It's
ever?
It's weird to say ever in a decade category. Like, it's the best 80s in any of the 80s decades. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's great. It's like kind of Goonies, and it's got some like weird comedy horror to it. What else do you need to see? Neighbors move in and they probably murdered someone, and Tom Hanks and the rest of the neighborhood goes paranoid.
Oh, is it like a Rear Window thing?
It's like a funny Rear Window.
Okay.
Carrie Fisher's the wife. It's great.
I saw pictures I was looking up because the only thing that sticks out of my mind besides hearing that it was bad was that the lightning. For some reason on the cover, the lightning stood out to me. I don't know why. It seemed very prominent, and it seemed like it was an important story piece. Was this lightning?
I think the prominent story piece is just that it's the suburbs, but they're treating it like it's a Freddy Krueger horror thing of like, I don't know what's going on, but also you're just in a cul-de-sac. I think it's great. It's just a really good, solid, like, condensed comedy.
Yeah.
It's like they move in next door to like an Addams-esque family.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're pretty sure the Addams family characters like murdered the other people, and they're trying to like sneak in and figure out what happened. That's pretty much the whole movie, but it's so entertaining. I really like it.
Okay, cool.
I haven't seen it as an adult, so I can't speak on it, but I know it is beloved. Everyone really enjoys The Burbs.
Well, Corey Feldman's in it, and first off, I am still astounded to this day about how many 80s movies I see, and I'm like, wow, he's fucking in this one too.
The Coreys were really prevalent. I've been trying to think if there's other movies where like that people were just in every movie. You know what I mean?
Every 80s comedy Corey Feldman is in.
Which is also strange because was he just the type? Was that just like he created this character that had been like, yeah, he's kind of like snarky and he's got a big mouth, so anytime we need that character, he's in it.
He's also very charismatic. There's no doubt about that.
He was a great kid actor. I mean, he could do horror, comedy, and other comedies. He's in Friday the 13th Part 3. To pivot though a little bit,
yes.
Can I tell you guys about a crazy movie I watched?
Please.
Yeah, please.
This is a Halloween episode, right?
Happy Halloween, by the way.
Yeah,
happy Halloween.
This is where we decided to do an extra episode this month because it's the spookiest month, and we needed an extra spooky episode. Happy Halloween.
I'm wearing a spider ring that has like a jewel on the back. It's like one of those plastic spider rings.
Ooh.
It's jeweled?
Yeah, I'm wearing it. Yeah, it's bejeweled. Yeah, it's got a purple jewel on it.
There's someone's spirit is inside of that. That's terrifying.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling like a little bit better at podcasting all of a sudden. So I don't know what it is, but I watched this movie from China, a Shaw Brothers film called Boxer's Omen. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
It's like a kung fu movie kind of, but it's also like this horror movie.
Okay.
It's so crazy. I really recommend buying it on Amazon and watching it. It's amazing. It's super funny.
Dom, I'm looking at pictures of this, and it looks like so have you ever seen that very famous Japanese restaurant with the giant robot tanks that come out? And
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
You don't know about that, Chad?
No, but I want to go to there.
It was on Parts Unknown, right?
Yeah, it's on Parts Unknown. It's like, anytime anyone goes there, I feel like they take pictures there.
Sure.
There's a scene in this movie that Dom's talking about that looks like it could be part of that like entertainment spectacle that is that restaurant.
It's let me see if I can sum it up for you.
Yeah, please describe. I'm trying to picture this film.
The bad guy from Bloodsport injures this guy's brother, so he swears revenge on him. He's gonna fight him in a kickboxing match.
Okay.
But before he gets to that match, he's summoned to this monastery, this monk monastery, and this monk who's dying tells him, we were twins in a past life, and I've been inflicted by the wounds of a dark wizard.
What?
And if I die, you will die too.
Whoa.
And he's like, you need to become a monk, you need to train, and you need to defeat this black wizard so that we can both be free of this curse so that we don't die. But like, it's super surreal and weird. There's a lot of magic. It's a really great film if you appreciate like just like magic ritual and such.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really awesome movie. I really recommend it.
There's some crazy looking effects in this. Dom, is this like a iguana looking alien man? is that a part of the film?
Send me a link.
Here, I'm gonna get you a picture here.
Yeah, confirm this picture so you can.
Drop it in this chat here.
Yeah, here it comes. Do you see
that? Oh
that?
my god!
Oh yeah, dude. That like so many times you're watching the movie and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like that's one part of like a ritual to do like a move that like is happening in this movie. Like a fighter will do something, but before he does it, he has to do like this little part, and then this little part, and then this little part, and that happens, and you're like, "What the fuck am I even watching?"
I gotta see this.
But why is it called the Boxer's
incredible.
Omen? I don't get it. Like,
yeah, right?
Because he's the Omen is the he's like,
curse.
I'm going to die, and if I die, then you die as well. So you have to. Then the boxer who was going to go kickbox this guy, he says, you know, he's got to go do this thing because he's given this omen that he may die, right?
Okay. I mean, every image I'm seeing on Google is like pretty spooky. There's like some body horror stuff and like...
Yeah, like this guy's like meditating and his head is removed. I guess it pulls off of him, it looks like.
Oh, dude, you got to see it. Stop looking at pictures. Order it on Amazon. Get it. I'm telling you, if you're intrigued by those images, you have to see them play out because your mind will melt. It's crazy.
Oh okay. It's also known as Mo, the movie.
Mo.
But
yeah, it was a fun one. But guys,
I definitely want to see
Halloween
this.
time. Favorite
Halloween
candy. Just give me a candy that you're thinking of right now that you'd like to eat.
Take 5.
Oh god damn!
Yeah.
Paul just fucking snatched it right there.
It's you can't defeat a Take 5 because it has everything you want in it.
It's pretty damn good. Do they still make those?
Oh yeah. They
changed the packaging though. They kind of tried to make it green.
Oh, that's see. When I go into like a gas station, my eyes are just scanning for colors that I like. So if they change the colors, I just like didn't even see it.
It used to be a red package with gold lettering.
Yeah.
So like it was foil, and it was like Take 5. Look at me. Now it has a package that like it looks like it should be for a pistachio bag.
Well, bad call, guys.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the new one. You're right, Dom. It looks like a pistachio treat.
Yeah. They try to freaking spin it on us.
They're trying to classy up this Take 5. When Take 5 is more of a like, I'd say it's a beautiful, beautiful candy. It's more of like the NASCAR of candy bars. I feel like it needs a branding that fits that.
Wait, hold on.
I see what you're saying. I'm connecting the dots.
Please unpack
this
for me. I need to hear the reasoning behind this.
Take 5 is the best of America, right? Like,
okay.
It's just like all the best things we push together, melting pot. But it's like you don't have time. Go. Here's your quick break. Here's everything you need. There's chocolate. Here's peanut butter. Here's pretzel.
I love it.
It needs. But like, can't you just picture Take 5 like zooming onto your desk? Like you just look down there and you hear little tire tracks. And burnouts.
I could imagine them making it in the factory, adding all the ingredients.
Yeah. See,
pretzel, peanut butter.
But this fancy pistachio packaging is like This needs to be on an airline, and that's
It looks like they tried to take what you said, the beautiful NASCAR of candy, and they tried to like sell it in Starbucks.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm jealous and both infuriated by any company where it's like, we just felt like we needed to rebrand. We just felt like it was time to shake things up.
That's Pepsi.
We're changing Coke Zero to Coke Zero Sugar because none of you asked for it. Yep. The Patreon P is now this gross, boring block. Like, companies are just like, well, if I'm not doing anything big in the graphic department, they're going to fire the graphic department. Like that kind of.
Yeah.
Listen. Shelf share is hard to get. Okay, and you got to fight for it.
This is true. This is very.
Gotta fight for that shelf
share. I got to
share.
tell you, I'm thinking of a candy bar
yes, please.
I had last night.
Let's hear it.
A little fun-sized one, a little Milky Way.
Oh man,
a Milky Way.
I love that caramel. I love that caramel.
It's smooth. It's a Take 5 is just pure. It's Nirvana. It's candy Nirvana. But a Milky Way takes you back to being a child. It's a Proustian cake that takes you back to childhood memories.
Milky Way I have weird like shame memories with. I've probably mentioned this at some point, but like I used to do this really gross thing as a kid where I would like eat the chocolate off the sides first.
Oh no, that's not gross.
No, that's normal.
Well, it's normal. Then you had this like little nougat bar, and like so you just imagine like little Chad with his fat hands and just nougat all over them. It was real gross, but it was so good. It was so tasty that way.
That's totally fine. I know people who do that.
I did that with Kit Kats. I would eat the chocolate barrier around it, and then I would eat it.
I didn't think that was possible.
I would do those to the Nutty Buddy bars, the Little Debbie ones. They're like those chocolate covered peanut butter wafer.
You eat all the wafer or all the chocolate off the sides, right?
Yeah, well, like you can peel off the wafer one by one.
Yep.
So then you can just have like a peanutty wafer.
Ooh.
What was the thing that's is it Nutty Bar? What's the one that's like the thin cylindrical chocolate with like a core of peanut butter inside of it?
You talking about Reese's Pieces?
Oh,
no.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was like a cookie covered in chocolate, and then there was like a line of peanut butter on the inside.
I want whatever this is real bad.
I think it's a Little Debbie snack.
Ones. Yeah. What the hell are those even called? Chocolate peanut butter logs? Like, what the hell could you
I'm searching right now.
I'm looking
I like those though.
Peanut butter crunch bars, they're called, and they are a Little Debbie snack.
Peanut butter crunch bars, man. I'm gonna cheat on that. Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat on that, dude. They're good. Go out, get those. Get those. Get a thing of fudge rounds, and finish it off with some Swiss rolls, and then have yourself a bologna night and eat those.
I'm sorry, bologna night?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, what does that mean?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
What does bologna night mean?
You're talking to Dommy Baloney over here.
Yeah, you get stony bologna.
Wait, are you guys referencing the thing where you get stoned and eat a bunch of bologna?
Well, getting stoned to the point where you're stony baloney, as in you're goofy, you've had a lot of marijuana, and anything you eat is going to be incredible.
Oh, okay, sure. I just thought, like, man, is bologna, like, when you're high, like, really, really good?
Yeah, well, I'm sure, yes, actually.
Hell yeah. Hobo steak?
Hobo steak.
You fry up a piece of bologna in a pan?
You're joking, but I really want to do that. That sounds really good.
No, that's real. That's real.
That's probably delicious.
Oh, man. I'll hit you...
A little hot mustard.
I'll hit you with my candy. Taking a detour away from the chocolate side. Okay. Twizzler Bits.
Oh, yeah.
But not Twizzlers. Twizzler Bits.
I've never had those. Oh, are they?
Mm-hmm.
See, yeah. I've never been a Twizzler fan, so I don't think I've ever had those because I probably was like, I wouldn't like them. So they're different?
I say they have different taste. There's just a different sensation by having these tiny little, like, bite-sized bits. You can eat them by the handful. The big old choking hazard, real good time.
They got holes in them, though. You could, if you got it caught in your throat, you'd be able to breathe still.
Yes, totally, yeah. The right angle, you could theoretically, those would become your new throat.
My new candy throat.
My new candy throat.
There's a couple candies that you can eat like recklessly.
Yeah.
Like that, like Nibs. You can do that, and Lifesavers.
Lifesavers. I think Lifesavers are
swallowing them. Who cares?
Lifesavers named as such because you can't choke on them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have a little you have a little mini esophagus there, and it'll your breath will just taste awesome because you're breathing through Lifesavers.
Oh, I was gonna say, you ever accidentally swallow like a hard candy too early, and then your body is just slowly pulling a rock down through your throat?
Yes, you have that.
You're like,
you have that brief moment of fear where you're like, oh god, I'm dying right here, and then it gets past, and then you have the fight where you're like, ugh, this is my penance for what I did.
As your body drags a freaking sweet rock through your throat.
I've had probably too many times where I've eaten food too fast, and then I'm going to die alone in this apartment, and then your decision's what do I do? Do I quickly write out? Do I either call for help?
Yeah.
Do I text all my neighbors at once and ask for someone to come over? Do I try to call 911? Or do I run to my computer and delete all the porn? Which one do I do?
Right. What are the steps here?
What are the steps to do
I'm going. Gotta get rid of the porn.
I've choked on a mozzarella stick before. You ever do that?
Oh no, that sounds like
it's hell.
A level of torture.
So here's what happens when you choke on a mozzarella stick, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to others. Mm-hmm. So this is not a unique circumstance I found myself in. You swallow it, and it goes down the wrong pipe. Sorry, I'm laughing. It's recalling my horror. You start to pull it out because you're choking on it, and it strings on you. The string spreads, and you're pulling, and it's just not moving, and it's just getting thinner and thinner. It's like quicksand. It's the thing is caught in quicksand. It's horrible.
An ever-expanding mozzarella stick, just continually, the more you pull, yeah.
If R.L. Stine wants to present us with real horror, he should write a horror that revolves around that.
What do you think that's what he actually scares him? What do you think actually spooks R.L. Stine?
Irrelevancy. Probably.
Whoa, nice. I was going to go tax returns, an old person joke, but I like that a lot more.
I think as someone who tries to make things for a living, the greatest fear is irrelevancy.
Oh, so theoretically every book is another fight to fight back his fear of becoming
the void.
Into the void. Into being lost forever, his work just disappearing.
Yeah.
Speaking of RL,
he wrote us a doozy for today's show.
Yeah, welcome to Goosebuds. What we decided to try an episode of. I always call them episodes. I'm so ruined by Hollywood.
These are episodes.
These are not books. Yeah, they're episodes. A book of Fear Street, specifically the Cheerleader miniseries.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But there's not a scary name to Cheerleaders, just Cheerleader, right?
When it was suggested and someone said that, I was like, that doesn't sound scary at all. But I was intrigued because we got multiple recommendations for the Cheerleader
Yeah, multiple
series.
people recommended the Cheerleader series. So we decided to read book 1, First Evil.
That's scary.
The name First Evil?
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I thought there. Yeah, didn't that make you think it was going to be some sort of Evil Dead type thing? And I don't know, there'll be multiple evils then. So this is just the first of many.
Yes.
We got things to talk about with Fear Street.
For sure.
I'll say that.
Yeah, well, let's also go into have you guys read Fear Street before?
No.
Same. So this is I had no idea what to expect.
So I was always, as a kid, I was a very scared child, and that's been made well known on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I read Goosebumps, and it took me a while to read them because I thought they were very scary looking from the covers. The covers are, you guys agree, the cover art on these books is fantastic. Arguably scarier than the books themselves, the cover art.
Yes.
But Fear Street scared me because it was supposed to be for an older audience, so the rules of engagement for RL were off with these, right?
Yes.
So these scared me, so I never read them for that reason.
Yeah, I had that same thing. I was like, oh, this is the heavy stuff. I got to get through all the Goosebumps before I can ever get into Fear Street.
Mm-hmm.
And is this scary? I guess this is scarier.
Yeah. I think he goes places here that he usually doesn't do in Goosebumps.
Yes.
And just to give my first impression of Fear Street as well, I remember one of my brothers had rented out from the library some Fear Street book about a roller coaster that was had teeth and kids were scared on the cover, riding this roller coaster. And I was like, damn, this shit probably is scary as hell. Like, this is this is like non-Goosebumps RL. I can't read this. And I was afraid of it.
It was scary looking.
I mean, this is a reference for RL's writing and for us to compare for evidence. What'd you guys think of the writing of this book? I thought it was much more put together than a Goosebumps book, right?
Yeah. I think what this book does, and what this book shows us about RL, is because it's targeted for like maybe a couple years older, I think he doesn't fully respect the intelligence of like a 10 or 11-year-old, and he respected the intelligence more in this book. I really believe that. I really believe that. And I think that he wrote this book for like a more intelligent, like he thought this audience would be able to handle a little bit more nuance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. There was still interesting to see like some of the hallmarks of RL writing that does continue through. Mm-hmm. Man, oh man, it's just now a hallmark now where RL needs to describe what everyone is wearing down to the T. Like,
okay, so I bought this on Amazon to read. I bought an ebook of it and I read it on my Kindle. And so if you don't use a Kindle, one of the features on a Kindle is that you can highlight things and save parts that you like or things that you think are notable. The first highlight is of somebody's outfit, and the only things highlighted through this book are descriptions of what people are wearing. They're the only things that are highlighted.
It's so unnecessary to do. Like unless it's really, really important. And I've been trying to wrestle with every Goosebump book that has this, like why it feels so off or just like bad writing to me. And I think I finally realized. And again, I know this is stories about preteens and stuff, teenagers,
17-year-olds
in this. But even in the Goosebump books, the reason why it's been throwing me off is I realized the only other writing I ever read that describes like Tiffany was wearing a short skirt with red and beautiful blonde hair on the pigtails on her side. The only time I've ever read that is like erotic fiction because they're trying to like describe to you like just picture this hot piece of tail. Like that's what the bad writers are doing. I realized that's what RL does. He needs like you need to know exactly how long their hair is. It's important. It's important for the narrative. And it drives me crazy. I mean, maybe it's just me.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, as we know, RL did write erotic literature.
True.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, remember I said that, I brought that up, that I read in an interview, and it's been posted to the
that's right.
Goosebuds Reddit, subreddit. But yeah, there was an interview where he said that he first got started writing
that's right. Playboy,
the
right?
That accompanied porn. No, not necessarily Playboy. I think it was like S&M stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Oh my god, I forgot about that. That was so long ago that we.
If he got started, that'd be interesting to see like what he kept, because it just really does feel like you need to. It just seems like if I can't describe what they look like exactly and just how hot they are, you won't be able to understand what the characters are about. Like
right.
RL. I mean, he did feature 2 shower scenes in this book.
There were.
Yeah, there's a little bit of shower scenes.
I felt like that was a little bit of like It influence there.
Maybe.
I got similar vibes from it.
Well, maybe we should explain a little bit what this plot of this one is. Paul or Dom, do you guys feel like taking it?
I think first let's lay out. Fear Street was supposedly the higher tier of Goosebumps, aimed at like a teen audience, and the rules were off a little bit. Death can happen in this. Kids can die. Although I will say that although there are deaths in this, we can still go back to Say Cheese and Die, where the kids do murder a man with a demon camera. So
yes, and I would argue that is still more horrifying than actually any of the deaths in this one. This is all like accidents happen, like the cheapest way, not the cheapest way, but like the easiest way for kids to accept death.
Right, exactly. Like those kids committed murder and were rewarded with it for it. So yeah, that's what this is. So the premise of this one is we have our two main characters, Corky and Bobby Corcoran.
Yeah.
Great 90s names. Bobby, Bobbi. Some just choice 90s names there.
Are they twins or just sisters?
No. So Bobby's the older sister, but they look like twins.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I missed that detail. That's why I was confused by it.
I actually remember that because that was one of the only other things highlighted in the book was that they looked like twins.
Well, so I don't want to derail your conversation. I just think it's important to point out too that you say they're the main characters, but like we don't get their perspective for a while. Like it jumps narrative between multiple characters.
This book jumps around in who our character is a fair amount. It's pretty surprising.
It was unlike any Goosebumps book.
Yeah, without telling you sometimes, like it took me a while to like, wait, we're not Jennifer anymore. I'm so confused. Like that kind of
right.
Animorphs would do this all the time. Usually it'd be like one character's perspective the whole book, or maybe a multiple one. But like it would say up front, like you're now Jake or you're Cassie now. Get it? I'm like, okay, cool.
Right, like how the Game of Thrones books are written.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, or Song of. Wait, is it Fire and Ice? Or
Song of Storms and Schlongs, or whatever. One of those kind of. Yeah,
it's a Song of Ice and Fire. That's what it is. Anyways, but yeah, they give you the name right at the top, so you're like, oh, okay, this is Bran. I'm in Bran's head right now. Cool. But yeah, this just jumps around to a ton of different people. But anyway, so they're cheerleaders. They're very talented cheerleaders. They move to a new town, and they're trying out for the cheerleading team. At their school, and basically the premise of the book is that they make the team, and the girls, most of the girls are resentful because they're new and they just kind of came in from nowhere, and one of the younger girls on the team gets kicked off, and then bad things start happening.
And girls be girls, am I right? Oh man.
So I think about the Fear Street book, and like something that just sort of dawned on me while we were been talking about it, and while I was looking at covers, is like, I feel like this series was aimed more at girls. Do you guys agree with that?
I guess so. I was trying to figure that out the whole time, actually, because it seemed like a lot of like relationship drama, and like I'm hoping this girl will like me as another girl.
I mean, especially this Cheerleaders series. I have not read any other Fear Street books, but when I was reading this, I was like, girls who were reading this who were involved with cheerleading probably did really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like I felt like it was really written for girls.
Am I dumb to think that there isn't this? Maybe this is chauvinist. Am I dumb to think there wasn't a giant overlap between like girls that read Fear Street though and also into cheerleading? I guess because to me Goosebumps was such a weird like nerdy thing to read.
I mean, when you were a kid, it was every kid.
That's true. That's very true.
Reading Goosebumps, but I don't know. Maybe it depends on the kid, I guess.
I get the sense that this could, because it's horror. Horror's always been the fantasy genre that crosses over a little more, right?
No, that's true. That's true.
So I think that this could definitely. I think you would get that crossover. I think so.
I will say I was hoping for like a The Craft vibe to start happening. Kind of. I was like, okay, this will be the first evil. And my biggest complaint with this book is it takes so long to get into anything spooky really actually happening. I was like, let's get into it. Like, one of you guys need to discover witchcraft and just start like getting the other cheerleaders into, because the cover shows like a possessed cheerleader and like evil cheerleaders behind her. So I am ready for you guys to like kill the coach or something. Like, let's go. And then whatever. But
I was hoping for some craft stuff too. When I read this book, I listened to some horror movie soundtracks and stuff like that. Got myself into
I was doing the same thing
as
I was reading. Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it made it better.
It definitely did. This book has, so speaking of waiting for the horror to pick up, Chad, this book has so many RL hallmarks in it that it's the same writer. Do you guys agree with that? Like, instantly, if his name wasn't on the cover, I would have known.
This feels like RL.
Yeah. Because it starts out, Bobby, the older sister, pranking. He loves his pranksters, man, because he's a jokester.
He is.
So she's pranking right off the bat. First chapter.
Yeah. But also, is the prank her hanging herself? Did I read that wrong?
The first prank is the rat prank on their little brother, who's purely there for them to torture. He has no story use, but like he's featured prominently multiple times throughout the book. So they prank her, or prank him, and then yes, Chad, that's the second thing. The famous fake outs are back, because the end of chapter 1 is the Bobby's hanging herself fake out, right?
But I did, I mean, I don't know why. I needed to hear like how she faked. It just seemed like she just hung herself, and then like, haha, I wasn't. And they didn't explain like what she was doing.
I think she was like playing dead, hanging over.
Okay, I was like, it's impressive. That's some impressive knot tying for you to pull that off.
Yeah. she did that, and then there was a couple of keywords that were also used. Kimmy landed hard on her elbows and knees in this book. So that happens when Bobby drops her, when she gets frozen later on in the book. And then there's a sour check in there. That one's for Nika. Nika's favorite.
There's a lot of good old smells. A lot of good old... RL just must have a strong nose, man.
She's right. I think Nika was saying that sour was always used around like evil demonic forces, and during a demonic scene of this is when you get that sour smell.
Well, and speaking of it, this is all connected. I do want to point out, so obviously Fear Street is like the hallmark benchmark of all the series. Like everything spooky happens on Fear Street. I didn't realize there was an actual street called Fear Street in the series. Cause
I was really, I thought that was really silly, right?
Yeah, because they're like, I mean, the book doesn't really start at all until they're like, oh yeah, we got some drama and there's two new cheerleaders, and like a lot of description of how pretty they are, like a lot of it. Again, it feels kind of erotic a little bit, or maybe I'm just messed up in the head. And they're like, oh, let's go to the big game, but. Right. Oh, I forgot our pom-poms fire sticks, which I didn't know the fuck that was.
The batons, yeah.
Batons, I guess. Yeah, they call them fire sticks. Well, I thought they were doing like devil sticks. They're like, oh, do they have to do devil sticks?
That's what I thought too. Like, that's exactly what I thought they were.
Is that part of the 90s of this where every cheerleader was doing devil sticks? But they're like, oh, we left it back at our house, so we'll go and we got to turn this bus around to I live on Fear Street. I'm like, oh, that's a real place. They all call it that, and no one says anything about it. That's strange.
Well, so let me summarize here. So these girls come into town. They join the cheerleading squad. They're on their way to the big game, as you said, Chad.
Yes.
And she remembers, I forgot my batons. And the bus driver's like, okay, we'll turn here and go pick up your batons. We'll turn on Fear Street. And as soon as they turn... Jennifer, the head of the cheerleading squad, is thrown out of the bus as it crashes.
Oh, and I just want to add one detail. It seemed like it was described that a sudden typhoon hit them. Like that as soon as they turned onto Fear Street, the rain picked up and lightning and winds and everything turned up. So it's like night and day. I pictured it like daytime because they're going to a game right after school. So picture like bright sunny day, and as soon as they turn onto the street, just lightning crashes and comes down and like a cartoon.
Yeah. Well, this book, real quick, I don't want you to get back to your thing, or Dom. What I like about this book is this book definitely gave me like John Carpenter vibes. Like the way he starts it and the description and the like small town. Definitely, I was getting very good John Carpenter like style horror vibes from it.
Sure, it's a little campy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like the neighborhood in Halloween. It felt like that kind of like any neighborhood kind of thing.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Autumn, early school kind of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so the bus crashes and the girl, there's a cliffhanger. RL's using this cliffhanger.
Classic.
And RL's like, she's dead.
Yeah.
The girl who flew out of the bus, Jennifer, she landed on a grave and she's dead.
Which I thought was actually like a really good visual description about it, because it read to me like her body was broken over the headstone. Like, it seemed like a really
that's what I read as well,
like a dark image.
But yeah, so the paramedics show up and
pronounce her dead.
They pronounce her dead, and then they go, man, Fear Street, man. They were like, fucking Fear Street. And they were like, guys, maybe change the name of the street if bad shit always happens.
It did feel like they were just like, we just gotta chalk another one up to Fear Street. Like on the coroner report they wrote, cause of death, Fear Street. What you gonna do?
Hey, every neighborhood's gotta have a Fear Street that kills kids, right?
Yeah, that's what George Washington said when he became the first president.
The freedoms of our nation will be paid for with the blood of children on Fear Streets across the world.
In a smart thinking ahead way, if you call one of your residential streets Fear Street, you know where all the spooky stuff's going to go. So it's like a lightning rod for spooky stuff, so you can kind of contain it.
True, cordon off the fear. That's great.
Yeah. You think you can control the chaos, but you cannot.
I just thought RL at some point was gonna. I thought he was gonna call it, I don't know, like something that sounds creepy, but isn't just called Spook Street. Like I don't know, call it Birch Creek Avenue or so. I don't know. Just something that sounds.
Well, the grave that she landed on. What was the girl's name?
Sarah Fear.
Sarah Fear. Yeah.
Which I wonder, by the way, is that
Named
feels
after?
like a character. I wonder if that was like a character from like another part of the series.
I feel like the background of Fear Street was probably laid out early on in the books, and then at this point we're supposed to know the history of the town.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the paramedics. Fucking Fear Street. Okay. But yeah, so Jennifer's okay, but I think she's now paralyzed, right?
Yeah,
from
so
the waist down.
Yeah, so that part's
Yeah.
that part's great because I actually wrote a note of that because like she was dead. Everybody was talking about how she's dead, and then they like the paramedics like again fucking Fear Street just like wiping their hands off, walking away.
Yeah.
And then Jenny wakes up and they're like, "What? Oh, she's alive! Great!"
Yeah, and they don't seem to like run tests on her. It seems like they just let her go home. Like I guess time jumps a little bit, but it just felt like the fact that there isn't any mention of the paramedics going like, "Huh, well I'll be." Like they just kind of they were just. I guess we were wrong.
They were like, "Oh, you're paralyzed? We got a wheelchair in the car. You're good. Just go home."
Just go home. We should have told you. By the way, I think shout out to a character that got no love that I actually found myself for some reason fascinated with was the bus driver
Simmons,
because they mentioned he's also the janitor, and then like they keep talking to him while he's driving the bus. He just doesn't respond to any of them. It's like he's gonna be like a goddamn evil mute or something. Like he's got something going on.
He's baby driver, but on lots of drugs.
Yeah,
He's drug-head baby driver.
For some reason, my money was on it was all Simmons. For some reason, I just had this theory. I was like, it's gonna be him.
So the whole book, he's like, there's a game of like RL like trying to make you think it's gonna be all these different people, right?
Yeah. I want to ask how you guys feel about like the red herrings and like I kind of like knew who it was the whole time, but
I thought RL was going to give us the obvious one. I really thought that Kimmy, the girl who's the most adversarial cheerleader, who, again, talking about clothing, he constantly talks about this clasp and pin that she wears on her that keeps falling off. This necklace that she has.
An important detail
that he constantly refrains on, and it's like, okay, this is going to be the girl because he's setting that up. But then, like, you're like, obviously, like, well, he's making that too obvious. There's no way it's going to be that girl, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out, like, okay, so, and this is a quick description, because honestly, I say the middle part of this book, while entertaining, is mostly teen drama, and then just two big events where, for whatever reason, people are paralyzed, like they can't move. There's Chip, the hot, handsome boy, and a lot of description of how cute he is, and girls talk about how cute he is.
And he kisses our main girl, Bobby.
He's a main girl, Bobby, and, like, he's Kimmy's ex. In the middle of the big football game, he just can't, which I think is funny, by the way, because it describes like, oh yeah, the first play, he starts, and then he just can't throw the ball or move, and then he gets tackled. And then he does it again. And by the third play, he does it again and just gets murdered. And I kept going like, the coach would have called a timeout, right? Like the coach would have like stopped. They're like, for whatever reason, our QB seems to not move.
I also love that the people in the stadium began to boo him. They began to boo a child.
He was having the worst time as he just kept getting laid out.
And then the parents, the supportive parents, began to boo him and tell him to...
But so he's getting paralyzed and like it's basically stupefied from Harry Potter, right? He's just getting frozen in place.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing other happens until they're doing like practice and like doing a new move, and it's Bobby? Bobby is going to catch Kimmy doing like a really crazy move, and then for whatever reason she suddenly can't move and lets her fall to the ground in a really sickening like break herself.
Yeah, she falls on her hands and knees.
Falls on her hands and knees, and see like her head like knocked back.
Elbows and knees, sorry.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's I'm just going to fill in the gaps here.
Yes, please. We're kind of all over. Yeah.
Jennifer, she's no longer the captain. She's in a wheelchair. And they appoint Bobby as the new captain of the cheerleading squad, which obviously has its ripples. Not everyone's happy about it, especially Kimmy, the adversarial cheerleader to Bobby and Corky.
Yes.
So this accident happens where she freezes up and she can't catch Kimmy. Well, afterwards, she's trying to forget about it. She goes to the shower, the second shower scene featured in the book. She turns on the shower, and it's so hot, and she can't turn it off, and she dies from a hot shower.
Yes, yeah, the shower burns her, scalds her to death.
Did you guys have trouble like picturing that? By the way,
the actual visual of that would be so gruesome. It would not be pretty. And,
right.
Corky finds her, I believe, right?
Yeah, I just want to point out.
She also finds.
Oh, go ahead.
She also finds that necklace
next to her. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to ask you guys before we move on from poor old, which is also kind of bizarre because I think for that part of the book, she had been the main character at that point.
Bobby's the main character through the first half of the book.
Even when it jumps to other people's perspective, it's still like pretty much Bobby. So when she died, I was actually surprised by that, especially because we already had a girl get thrown from a bus and be fine.
Right.
I was like, oh, RL's pulling all of his punches on this. Okay, he's gonna just kind of do pseudo death stuff, but like.
That's what I thought too. I thought that there was gonna I instantly when Jenny dies at the beginning of the book, I'm like, oh, here's our first death. This is crazy. Like he's like, here we are, you know?
Yeah.
But then he brings her back, and I'm like, he's pulling his punches. But like you said, then we get into this Bobby one, and then he actually kills the girl.
Well, he sets up a cliffhanger that actually pays off. He says, little did Corky know that would be the last night she ever spent with Bobby.
And I was trying to figure out how to like RL was going to his way out of there. Like maybe she'll lose the ability to talk or something.
That's what I was thinking too.
Or maybe I thought that they were going to move and they were going to get separate bedrooms. Like I thought that's how he was going to do it.
Yeah,
but no,
he killed her. I just want to. Did you guys have a hard time picturing? So they described that all the hot water jets turn on and they're scalded and she's trapped there. And then the door to the shower won't open, so it starts to flood. Right. And I just don't know what that shower is. Like, not to get caught up in details. Like, every high school gymnasium, maybe girls' bathrooms are different. I don't know.
It's a locker room, though. So it's like, I think the way I read it was the locker room itself was like closed off with like probably like a heavy ass door. And then all the water was going, and it just filled up. Maybe not
the entire locker room.
Yeah, because like it gives you because it says like a ton of shower heads start going. So like that's why I read it as kind of like because it was sort of like this like demonic force taking over this entire thing and like creating like unfathomable levels of water inside of this room. And also it like makes a point of saying that it was very hot to the point where she couldn't even like walk because the whole floor was filled with hot water. So she was being scalded constantly,
which is it's very dark. I just kept picturing her like locked in like a bathroom stall and then like able to get out
with like a top and a bottom exposed.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, just go underneath, you'll be fine. It'll be hurt for a second, right. You'll get out of there. Right. But yeah, they don't really. I had this moment where I know we should keep moving on, but this is a big death, and it seems like as soon as she dies, I know we time jump afterwards, like we're in the funeral 2 weeks later, but wouldn't there be like a lawsuit against the school?
Right.
They're like, yeah, she must, they said, it was really weird whether they assumed that. They're like, oh, they thought that she had a seizure and died instantly. But like, wouldn't her body just be like covered in like 3rd degree burns and there'd be a lawsuit against the school for like faulty doors? I don't know.
This one's interesting because we deal with the famous RL parents who, you know, typically just don't listen to the kids. But the parents are decidedly like absent from the story, except for the very beginning, right? We start out with our classic scene of the kids getting up in the morning and dealing with the parents, and the parents are kind of annoying. But other than that, there's like no parents in this book at all. So like it kind of glosses over all that stuff. The end of the book glosses over. Well, it doesn't gloss over. There's a very brief mention of like how the town reacted to this stuff. But other than like the Fear Street man, like paramedics, adults are like not involved in this book at all.
Well, no, that continues on over, I think, to the dead kid, where they're just like, we lost another one. Well, let's just move on. Like,
yeah, the parents don't even grieve at all. They're not even there. Like, it just happens.
Well, it was kind of throwing me for a loop a little bit because you're following Bobby for so long, and it's interesting to shift to Corky, but like until that part of the story, I feel like Corky hadn't really been in the narrative at all. She's just kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, I also have a sister.
Yeah, dude, he was pulling psycho, dude.
He was
in the shower.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Oh my god!
Well, killing the lead, you know. Anyway,
yeah. It's funny that's totally the better narrative reference to use point. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a Metal Gear Solid where Raiden takes over for Snake in the.
I was like,
I was like, I kept thinking of that for some reason, which is not at all the same story.
It's close.
It's pretty close. I mean, Raiden was naked.
He was naked at one point. He was seeing people that shouldn't walk. Yeah.
So she confronts Kimmy with the pennant. She says, "Hey, I found this pennant next to my dead sister. You fucking did this, I know." And she goes, "No, I gave that to Jenny."
Yeah.
Right? And then she goes to confront Jenny, and she follows her to the graveyard where Jennifer first died for a brief moment.
Yeah.
And she starts dancing.
Before we get to this, we should, again, with the parents, they go to Bobby and then Corky. Well, mostly Bobby becomes very close with Jenny over the period after her accident, right?
Yes.
And she's going over her house. You don't see her parents. Her parents are never around because they're like high, they're doing a lot of work and stuff like that. They're always working.
They're always working on this random job.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of very spooky scenes, like really like cool imagery scenes. And there's one where Bobby leaves the house and she sees Jenny walking in the house, right?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was like a shadow or what, or she sees her or just a silhouette. I couldn't tell.
It's like a silhouette-y, like demonic shadow that she sees.
Which is pretty foreshadowing. I actually was trying to figure out, like, is she seeing Jenny? Because then she runs to the door and Jenny immediately answers. And I thought they were going to do some sort of like, oh, there's a demon in that house that's not Jenny. That's like, that's who she saw in the window. But no, it was just, it was Jenny.
Well, now, Dom, please finish off the ending portion of the story.
Yeah, so she confronts Jenny at this grave. And Jenny, which she's not referred to as Jenny in the book. That's just what I'm calling her.
Yeah, we keep calling her that. I actually wrote her name down as Jenny, too.
Jennifer,
it's Jennifer, yeah.
Saying,
we're just that close with Jenny that we can call her Jenny.
She reveals that when Jennifer's body hit the grave, was it Sarah Fear?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah Fear's evil spirit went into her body, right?
Well, I just want to point out, because this is actually one of the questions I had, is when she landed on the body, the spirit says, I was trapped there, and finally I've been waiting 100 years or whatever for someone to land on it. But she never says, I'm Sarah Fear. She just says, I'm not Jennifer anymore. And but maybe go like, are you... She never goes, I'm Sarah back from the dead, or I was a witch. In a weird way, that's scary that they don't explain anything, but it's just a generic demon or something.
Well, there's a detail that she says she's got now. She's not Jennifer, but now she's going to destroy Jennifer's enemies,
which is strange, like very strange.
Which is weird because Jennifer didn't see. I guess they did allude to the fact that Jennifer had some ulterior motives. Throughout, like she seemed to be fake at points. But it didn't seem like she had any enemies. She seemed to be the glue that held the cheerleading squad together.
I was trying to think, like, in horror terms, like who... So the two main people that have been hurt by... It's honestly weird that more kids weren't picked off. It's just two. It's just Bobby dies and Chip gets tackled. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so... At first I was like, she's trying to ruin the lives of someone. So who's the person that like connects the dots between... these people who are hurt and why that must be the evil witch person or whatever it is.
Right.
Like, I guess Kimmy's kind of like who you would assume because Chip is her ex and then Bobby took her place on the team. But for some reason, I think because they kept mentioning that like Jennifer was just there nearby or whatever. I was like, okay, well, so Jennifer's motivation, if they actually had spelled it out, which they don't say, is I hate Bobby and Corky. That's what I was trying to rationalize. Tell me you guys think I'm crazy.
Okay.
Was Jennifer blames Bobby and Corky because they had to go back to get that stuff on Fear Street, and if they hadn't turned
That's
down
what
the
I'm
street,
assuming.
that's what I thought they were going to do. Like, oh, if you guys hadn't been dumb idiots and made us go down Fear Street, because we know Fear Street's evil, we all in town know this.
Right?
I would have had an accident. I wouldn't be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. So therefore, I'm the witch.
And shouldn't the demon be happy because they gave her a body to enter?
Yeah, I was confused. If she's punishing Jennifer's enemies, I get it. But if you're not Jennifer, why do you fucking care? Like, it should just be, like, I'm just picking off one by one.
Thanks for the sweet dead body to enter. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I did like, has at least explained so Jennifer died. They don't say that, but Jennifer died on that tomb, and then the ghost just went into it.
Which is a good explanation of that bad portion. Because at first I was like, that was stupid that the paramedics didn't even know she was alive.
Yeah, I was really bothered about that.
I was like, what the fuck? But then they explain it there, so it works out.
One more thing about that, though, is that means... So it's a great image. You mentioned it, Dom, where, like, she follows Jennifer into the woods, and she's not in her wheelchair, and she's doing, like, a weird, like, pagan dance with her dance baton. I was picturing, like, a really good version of that where it's like The Craft or something. Woodland nymph. But that means... I wanted her to say either, like, I'm using dark powers to, like, propel her body, or it means she wasn't paralyzed, and she just pretended to be paralyzed.
Right.
Which, one, why, other than misdirect, and two, the paramedics, when they, like, tell, wouldn't there be, like a weird, her body seems perfectly fine.
Right.
It's psychosomatic or something. She's not responding to the treatments. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe getting too caught up on the logistics of teenager skeletal structures, but...
No. I think it's shown that this demon is capable of telekinesis because they create a dirt tornado around them.
She wields dirt.
She has dirt powers, and I guess she takes credit for everything that happened.
So water powers.
But did I miss a page? Does she just not ever say, like, I was doing blank? Like, she never says, I thought they were going to for sure, like, during the game, just like in Harry Potter first one, like, the way, like, Snape is casting that spell secretly on Harry's broom in the Quidditch match. Right. Like, I thought it was like I was casting a spell on Chip to make him unable to move.
I think it's implied because one of the first true supernatural horror segments of this book is when Bobby's walking down a hallway and all of these lockers start to open and close loudly around her and, like, slam.
Yeah, right? I don't know. For some reason, I just wanted her to be like, I was there casting hex spells or whatever, but she's just a demon, so I guess she could just do whatever.
Yeah.
The end of the book is a little, it's climactic. There's a pretty crazy, like, visual that's created, but, like, this demon gets punked pretty damn hard. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah, should we describe the fight?
Yeah, please.
Go on, Paul. Yeah, no, Paul, describe
no, Dom, you got it. Dom, you got it.
I don't, because I read it, but I was, like, reading it as Ian was getting here, so I was getting the details, but describe to me what you find so absurd about it, because you clearly have this perspective.
So Corky walks up, like Dom said, sees Jennifer dancing, and she's like, how, she'd been watching her drive over. She's all blown away by her ability to do these things, which, before I get into this, I want to talk about another moment of physics being defied. When Jennifer first, and I might just misunderstand how wheelchairs work here, but Jennifer rolls out during a pep rally after being paralyzed with a pennant in one hand, and she's wheelchairing herself out with the other, and I was like, wouldn't you be spinning in just like a circle if you're just using one hand to wheelchair?
She's juggling the pennant back and forth between hands and pushing on either sides. Yeah.
That's cheerleading talent right there.
Yeah,
that's raw cheerleading talent. So anyway, so she sees her dancing, and it's funny because the demon Jennifer, approaches Corky.
We never get a demon's name, by the way. It never says, like, I am Zool.
Yeah, right. Which is kind of cool. I like it being a little ambiguous. This is like a 5-book series, so I'm assuming the demon gets its personality, brought out throughout the thing.
Of course, yeah.
Book number 4 we have to read because there's an evil Santa Claus on the cover with chasing a girl.
Okay.
So.
For
Christmas. I think we probably should do that for December. So anyways, she approaches it and she's like, you're not Jennifer. You can't be Jennifer. Or she's saying the demon Jennifer's saying she's not. And Corky's like, no, I see you. I saw you dancing. And it's like, I don't know how that's proof that she's Jennifer because she's dancing. In fact, it's going against everything that we know about Jennifer.
Jennifer never had the dancing skills to pull off the moves you were doing.
No, she was acrobatic, not a dancer. She wasn't fluid enough. So, so Jennifer's dancing, and then she starts to create the dirt tornado that we talked about earlier. And then she opens up the grave of Sarah Fear and presents the horror inside of it, which is a corpse, a skeleton being eaten by maggots, and it's a really good, really good visual. Like, actually,
it's specifically white worms.
So
not necessarily maggots, but white worms.
It's grave worms. It's that standard class of worms called grave worms, and
right.
yeah,
right. I'll get out my my monster manual. I'm sure white worms are discussed in there.
They were still feasting on her body, even though she died in the 1700s.
Yeah, I was like, that's not true. Those worms would be gone at this point. That would just be like a skeleton.
White worms love sucking on a white girl's bones, dude. They just love that.
God.
They love it. So they're feasting on this skeleton. It's a pretty good image. And the demon, using again her telekinetic powers, she throws Corky into the grave on top of this gruesome horror. And it's great. Again, a great visual. It's very climactic. It's a great scene, great build up here. And then that's a cliffhanger. She's fallen in. Corky, utilizing her gymnastic abilities, again, a good use of the characters that you've built here.
No, but this part's ridiculous.
Yeah, vaults herself out, stops her momentum and lands, and then jumps out of the grave and escapes. And at this point, the other cheerleaders have showed up because they followed Corky and are approaching Jennifer, evil demon Jennifer, and she's distracted. So Corky runs up and bear hugs her from behind.
Yeah,
and tries to wrestle her into the grave. I think she actually might have done this before she was thrown too,
but she failed the first time.
Anyways, so yeah, that's right. So that happens before she grabs her. Then she falls into things. She gets out when she's distracted by the cheerleaders. She runs up and starts choking her.
Yeah,
and just fucking ends this demon. She just deads this demon.
Double deads this demon. And by the way, the description of her cheerleading out of the grave, I was picturing a 10-foot vertical leap, standing just she hits the ground, perfect 10, and then just jumps right back out. And I was picking the
Crouching
demon to go
Tiger level wire.
Yeah, I wanted to do what? And then,
I really enjoyed that she used cheerleading to beat the ghost.
Yes, she cheerlead fights her to death, and then she chokes her out. She just chokes the demon. The demon gets punked real hard for a demon with supernatural abilities, I think.
But Corky did strangle the life out of someone.
She did.
Yeah. This is her start. This is the start of her becoming probably a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type character.
Yes.
Where she's choking, and it mentions this is all that sour stuff, right? Is the Jennifer, the demon, just starts spewing foul gas everywhere out of her mouth.
Yeah.
And also probably out of her other holes. If we're going to be obvious, if it's a full horror, it's probably out of all the holes.
It's putrid stank coming out of her everywhere, yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. It's a defensive technique, but I guess that was the demon?
Uh-huh.
Because it describes, right, she wrestles her back into the grave, and tell me if I was reading this wrong, is it wrestles her into the grave, and it puts her face down in the worms so that she's belching the noxious smoke into the coffin.
Right.
And then they close the coffin shut, trapping the gas in there, therefore the demon's trapped.
Yes. With its own noxious demon gas.
But
it's the demon that gets caught in there, though. That's the weird thing. So it's a little oddly described because Jennifer's body then falls to the ground and instantly decomposes. Again, another great visual, because he describes how her body is normal, the normal Jennifer girl body, and then quickly time lapse bloats and then falls apart before their eyes.
I didn't understand why that would happen. I mean, maybe that's just a good image to show this character's clearly dead, but
it's really cool. That's why.
Did you guys have any moment where you thought trying to figure out how the demon worked? Because it seems like they essentially do is they Dutch oven the ghost, right? They
yes.
they have it belch into the coffin and slam the coffin shut, and there it's trapped. But then the demon ghost thing definitely said I was waiting for anybody to just come by where this grave was, and I jumped into them. So
I think someone had to die by it. That's my
okay. You think that's the rule?
She died close enough to it that she was able to be turned into a demon. That's what I read.
Took a couple 100 years, but it finally happened.
Yeah, it took 100 years, but over a long enough timeline, someone was going to die by that grave.
Yeah, I guess so. So he's just waiting like a ghost trap. Again, we still never know if it's Sarah Fear. Because, as far as we'd find out, it might be Sarah Fear was, a Van Helsing type and, trapped a demon with her in her final moments. Who knows? Yeah.
I got the impression that Sarah Fear was the previous demon, body. The previous host.
Yeah, they mentioned... By the way, if you guys listening to this have read the Fear Street books, please give us a heads up. Because they mentioned there's, a whole Fear family buried there, I think. Or, multiple tombstones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they lived on Fear Street.
They built
Street,
this town.
Man.
They built Fear Street on rock and roll.
Fear Street, rock and roll, and dead teenagers. That's what they built on.
So I guess like the girls see this. They don't give them a lot of reaction time to be like, holy shit. Like, it's
some
kind
cops
of
show up and they do the paramedics things. They're like, it's Fear Street, man. Forget about it, Corky. It's Fear Street.
These girls are cleared of all charges. There's no murder being lobbied against them. Let these nice white girls go home. Let them go home.
Uh-huh. They talk about it. They took them all downtown. They booked them for a little bit. And they're like, there were no answers. It was just illogical. It was
just Fear Street. Yeah. Well, I mean, they would have... I was trying to figure out, like, they would have found here's what the cops would figure out. They would have found an open grave, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, that's not supposed to happen. They would have found an open grave.
Right.
A defiled coffin. They would have been telling them, like, don't open the coffin, because theoretically, as soon as someone opens that coffin, a ghost comes out.
Yeah.
They would have found a dead, decomposed teenage girl body. And again, this is like a white girl. This is a pretty white girl. So that's going to be a national...
Very important, yes.
National case. These girls would have gone to jail forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Unless they went, it's Fear Street. It's Fear Street, so like I guess they just get to go home.
Dom, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. Yeah, they should have been. But these were... I mean, the headline would have been paralyzed cheerleader's body found decomposed in haunted grave.
Right.
Suspect jealous girls killed her because they hated her cool wheelchair or something.
And that was the undertone of this entire book, was that it's like a jealousy thing. Like there's a lot of like feminine like jealousy in this book, like cliche jealousy.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that the girls are always going to be fighting each other.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping like, and maybe this book's go. I mean, that's kind of the end of the story, right? There's a little bit of cliffhanger we can get into, but like I was kind of hoping it would get quicker into, there's some evil going around, and let's actually be friends. Or I just personally get kind of bored whenever it's like teenage girls just all they do is gossip and bicker, because it just feels like it's written by like an angry dude.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. As we know in the Slender Man murders.
Oh, fuck, that was crazy. But
those girls just killed that other girl.
I just wanted them to start teaming up and, I don't know, just like start working together against this, or like we were wrong about you, but also now let's use let's all be characters, because I had this big thing where I just like really couldn't tell the difference between the girls at all. They were all just so generic, like.
Yeah. Well, the girl that's supposed to be like the red herring girl, Kimmy, is like the only one who isn't like your generic blonde, like, 90s like icon, right, of sexuality.
I guess there's just nothing to them other than like, I guess she's a brunette. Like that's all I could I guess that's all I could tell between these characters.
Right. There really wasn't too much personality. Like Jennifer is described as young Julia Roberts as a Julia Roberts. That was
weird.
Type.
There's a lot of like, she also had her luscious big lips. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I was like, kind of gross, dude.
Yeah, and then he put him in a shower twice. But I guess that goes to show, though, that this was a book that was a little bit more well crafted. Like each chapter kind of set out to move the story in a particular direction.
Right.
It was a lot more put together than a Goosebumps book, which I think applies to my theory that RL did write all the Goosebumps. He was just on a tighter deadline.
I think you're right.
You think so?
Yeah.
Although he wrote this while he was doing Goosebumps. This was written in 1992.
I think we have to, and this will be my crusade. If I have to fall on this sword, this will be my crusade.
Okay.
At some point, because we know that every other author, like popular author, like there's no way Dean Koontz writes all. I mean, also those are like 900-page books. We just know that like Clive Cussler and Dean Koontz and Tom Clancy, those guys don't write all of them. There's just no way.
Right.
So
they have ghostwriters.
While yes, I think any three of us, not to shit talk RL too much, any three of us we could do first drafts of any of these Goosebumps books in like a week if we really needed to.
Right.
At some point, the machine of book publishing would go like, RL, we need you to just get like 5 more out this month. And they're like, okay, I'll hire this guy. Like, there would just be that would happen at some point. I do think RL wrote this, though. This does feel like RL.
I'm looking at the list. Actually, it definitely was. And so he wrote these. He started the Fear Street books before. It's looking like before he was doing Goosebumps, because Goosebumps didn't start until July of 1992, which is really when this book was released.
I always assumed this was like 5 to 6 years later. I had no idea.
Me too. I'm looking at it right now, and that's actually pretty astounding. He released the first 2 Goosebumps books in the same month, July of 1992.
Okay, here's the thing. I can at least understand that maybe he had multiple ones he was working on. Like, so you would like have maybe a back catalog.
Right.
But at some point, by book like 30 of Goosebumps, when he has Fear Street and Goosebumps and like the 3 other spin-off series, there's no way. There's just no way. He's just not doing it. I refuse.
Maybe that's why we got such a big fuck you on the last Choose Your Own Adventure. He was like, I gotta write another goddamn book every month. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you, dumb. Like, at some point you'd start to hate the kids, and you start to be like, I don't know. Maybe there's a beast from the east. I don't know what that means. It just rhymes. We're gonna do it.
Fuck it, I'm going with it.
Yeah. We should explain about it. There's one little cliffhanger, because this is a series, I guess. It's a mini-series. Is
5 books. 5 books, yeah.
Yeah, so the girls are cleared of all charges. And time has passed a little bit. The girls should be a scene where they're like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Demons are real or whatever. But they're like, let's get back to cheerleading. Corky comes back into her bed. I believe it's Corky. And then
it is.
She pulls back the sheets and finds Jennifer's cheerleading pendant.
Right.
And in her bed. And she screams.
Which the demon was holding at the end of the book.
Yeah, for some reason, I get that's supposed to be like the horse head in the bed from like Godfather, or like a sign of the demon's still alive. I didn't even take it as I was like, yeah, probably someone picked it up. Like they probably found it,
gave it to her, as like
the parents put it there as like a remember your good friend, and it didn't spook me at all. But maybe it means something later.
What was fucked up is that the pendant was a yin yang symbol, but with both of them were black, so it was like double evil.
I believe that's the ding dang symbol.
The ding dang. Yeah, I kept hoping because the pendant's like wasn't a symbol like a cheerleading symbol or like a horn or whatever or something?
Yeah, it was like a megaphone.
Yeah. If they had made the pendant just seem more generically like stars and moons or something, you could have done a cool thing where like, oh yeah, that wards off evil or something, or it's haunted. Like you were saying, Paul, like it might have been a red herring stronger if it didn't seem. I never thought it was evil or magic, because like there's no way a magic cheerleading pendant is
right. She's always mentioned with it, and it's never given that like that level of like gravity that it means something. It
was clearly bought for them at Wet Seal. Like I didn't think it was. Right. It was spooky.
I will say though that this book. Again, I think this book, and now that I know that he wrote these before Goosebumps, I get the impression that he established a style with Fear Street, right? And Goosebumps was, all right, I can market these to younger kids and sell a shit ton more books, and I'll just pump those out. And it wasn't as much about an intelligent, like, horror, that like a horror movie that he was laying out. It was more just about, like, just tell us something that'll spook kids and just have a bunch of, like, spooky situations that, like, are safe enough to sell in Scholastic Book Club.
Yeah, it seems like these were more of his Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Where he could, like, Goosebumps were just like, some of them could be funny, some of them could have weird monsters, but he could do whatever he wanted. Whereas like Fear Street, that was the established horror series he had started doing.
It's interesting to see that he went. I always assumed it started with Goosebumps, and then he's like, okay, I can age it up now. But it does almost seem strange to go from this, which is. Yeah, it's heavier. I think I could have read this as a kid and been okay. Like, I don't think like a girl in a wheelchair would have terrified me.
That would have not. None of the things in this really would have scared me as a kid.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to go from like that to like I gotta not dumb it down, but also like lighten it up for these kids to dig these series. Right, it's like almost overcorrecting. I mean, whatever. Obviously, he did fine. Goosebumps was a giant series. He did it.
Right. But I honestly think reading this when I was just like, this would, like you're saying, this would have been fine for a kid. I really think that it was almost, and I don't know if that he was like, he thinks kids are stupid or anything like that, but I think that R.L. Stine just made his thing a little too like he could have given kids a little bit more horror, and then he did. That's all.
Yes.
I think
he played it safe.
He played it safe. Yeah, even in this one.
Well, you could see in like Welcome to Dead House, the first one.
Yeah,
it's a lot darker than the other ones. Like a whole town died.
Right.
Like, and
like Say Cheese and Die again. They murder a man and Say Cheese and Die.
It'd be interesting. I wonder if we're following a track because my memory serves, the Goosebumps books get weirder and weirder. If this just became like there's a shade of a spectrum where it starts darker and it just gets more and more into wacky like horror comedy as the series went on.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll find out in Night in Terror Tower next. So.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a real spooky one.
The guy the guy has an axe on the cover.
I mean, I don't know if I can go from Fear Street back to Goosebumps because honestly, it's going to be like the axe started to swing down on my head. Cliffhanger. Next chapter. He was just cutting some melons. Like it's just going to be like that.
Just kidding. The axe was still just sitting there. It was
I saw it wrong. I saw the axe wrong. I do have one critique of because I haven't criticized it at all. He's got to watch it on these chapter titles. Like these chapter titles were spoiling everything.
That's why he dropped them, right? Right. He dropped them from Goosebumps.
Yeah, because it'd be like you don't know if what's going to happen in the next one, and then you see Jennifer in the woods. I wonder what this means. Next chapter, title called "I'm Not Jennifer."
Right.
I don't know. Maybe let me find that out in the next couple pages because I like to still guess. Maybe it's still her and she's a witch. Nope, I guess not.
The titles of the chapters to me felt like his outline. Like it felt like literally the bullet points of his outline, and that he was just like, "Oh, I'll just use those as the titles."
Chapter 7, the new captain. Chapter 8, Kimmy quits. Chapter 9, Bobby and Chip. These are just like the shorthands you would use to break it out, and then you don't change it. Yeah,
exactly.
You put chapter 13 in quotations. I was dead. I guess that person that I thought was dead wasn't dead. Like it's just kind of
right.
There's a lot of you're spoiling stuff by not having any level of coyness, I guess.
Yeah, I think that we should read The New Evil with the Santa Claus on it for December, though. I really want to.
Totally. I also think it's interesting in the back of the chapter they list there's like 5 or 6 books. The final one in this cheerleader series is called like a super scare or whatever that means. Probably just a special book series. It was like an extra, $1. But
super chiller, yeah.
Super chiller.
Yeah, it's the Mad Magazine super special. It's like, how they would do like an extra one that costs $1 more. Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting is that I wonder if to them this was definitely a different series because I just noticed it lists every single Fear Street book, but then not a single Goosebump book.
Oh.
Like, maybe I'm overthinking, but it just says books by R.L. Stine, and it lists all the Fear Street. It lists the Fear Park series, the Fear Street Cheerleaders, and Fear Street Duet, whatever that fucking means. And all of these ones, and just not a single mention of like, also read Goosebumps.
This was in August of 1992, so this was this was published a month after the first Goosebumps was published. So maybe Goosebumps just wasn't a huge success yet, and they just weren't pushing it yet. You know?
Yeah, though it mentions like 50 Fear Street books, so I don't know at this point. But yeah.
Right.
I'm intrigued by it. I almost kind of wish we were still reading the rest of this cheerleading series now that maybe it's just starting to go.
Yeah. Hey, this is our show. We're allowed to just take
I guess so.
off.
We'll see how you guys feel about Fear Street. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get the feedback from the audience and see what they say.
Did you guys read the next... I agree. I'm down to also just skip to Santa Claus. But did you guys read what the description of the next book was?
No.
At the end of mine, it says, next, Cheerleaders, the Second Evil. Corky Corcoran is trying to put the nightmare of her sister Bobby's death behind her. She's back on the Shady Side cheerleading squad and has become friends with Kimmy, Deborah, and Ronnie. Those other characters that didn't do much. But just when everything seems like it's back to normal for Corky, she hears horrible screams in the gym, notices a very strange young man following her, and thinks she sees her dead sister rise from the grave. And then the murders begin again. So like,
oh shit.
My God.
There is like, maybe this is setting the groundwork for multiple books. I don't know. Like if it actually happens, that makes this whole one more interesting.
It definitely is. And I'm hoping there's more murders. Like I hope the murder
Santa
count
Claus gets involved with the murder at some point.
Yeah. And if Bobby returned like a werewolf in London, like I'm partially dead, but I'm still going to talk to you or whatever. Like that would all be super cool. Be curious to see what RL does with that.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Because by book 4, they fight fairy tale creatures, it seems like. So who knows?
I bet that sick fuck's gonna surprise us.
I think that's Fear Street.
I think it's Fear
That's
Street, guys.
baby. That's Halloween, baby. I hope you guys have a wonderful one.
Yeah.
Get spooked out there. Get your spook on.
I'm talking to the audience. I'm also talking to my friends Chad and Paul.
Yeah,
Also,
You guys have a
are
good
you guys dressed
Halloween.
up for Halloween? Do you guys got a costume?
Yeah, I dressed up as a cheerleader today
Did
for this.
You dressed up or became because somebody
Ooh.
fell on your grave.
Yeah, I found a dead body and I just absorbed my soul inside of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
pretty
that'd
cool.
be a great way to dress up like a cheerleader for Halloween. And then when they ask you who you are, you're like saying, well, I'm actually the ghost of Sarah Fear possessing the cheerleader. I assume you've read Fear Street Cheerleaders, the first evil.
I assume, and all I can really do is lift up dirt, so...
And then you throw some pocket sand at them at the party, which really just ruins it for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't have a costume, but I do have this Snoopy sweater that I bought off of an Earthlink website. That's Snoopy as Joe Cool wearing a sweater that says Count Cool, and he's got a cape on, and it's this bright orange sweater, and I really enjoy it.
I would definitely listen to
yeah.
any Halloween party with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Chad.
What about you, Chad?
I am still putting together the pieces of a casual Overwatch Tracer cosplay.
Oh.
I got the tights. I found a very super cheap faux bomber jacket. Get some shades and some sneakers. It's going to be real embarrassing, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm very excited to see that.
I'll send you some personal photos.
Please do.
Guys, I think we should just wish our listeners happy Halloween, right?
Yeah, happy Halloween, y'all.
Maybe eat a fun-sized candy bar in pieces like Chad did.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. If you want to support the show, there's multiple ways to do it. You can go to Twitter and follow us on at Goosebuds Pod. We appreciate any shout-outs and retweets and everything you do. The love is very important, and we love hearing from you guys.
You guys can also check out our subreddit where we can talk with you guys about the books. We like to do discussions before and after. There's usually always a discussion of the current book being read where everybody kind of throws their thoughts in. And we like to go in there and usually read that after we're done reading to get some things to bring up on the next podcast. So definitely go in there. It's reddit.com/r/goosebuds.
And another great way to support the show is by becoming a patron at patreon.com/goosebuds. You will get access to bonus episodes of Goosebuds. We may even say your name in the credits if you care to donate at that amount. We will do it. It's a fun way to support these beautiful voices that lull you to sleep sometimes. So,
and sometimes your names become jokes that become artwork, like a recent one where a mantis became an avatar of my responsibility.
I still don't understand why that happened, but I love it.
I forget everything, but I love the picture. Hold on, let me pull up the artist who did that real quick.
Sure. Yeah, that's patreon.com/goosebuds.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys' support.
The artist was Chev, and it's on Instagram. Chev Arnanzi, ARNANZI. Chev, SHEV.
If you want to do more art of Paul being chased by specters and demons and bugs, go for it.
Please do. No dolls, though. That would scare me.
No dolls. That crosses the line.
That crosses the line that I will not look at.
Guys, I just want to say, real talk, that I feel like getting to do this show with you guys on this, the most spookiest of days. I really feel like we're kind of a squad, you know, like people that bring cheer and happiness to others and ourselves. And I can always count on you guys to catch me when I fall.
Yeah.
And that's good cheerleader terminology that you used. And I also think that if a demon overtook any of us, that the other two would be responsible enough to either de-summon the demon or kill the person and end their demonic rage.
Oh yeah, I would use my podcasting skills to fight a demon to save your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'll throw in an addendum. If it seems like one of us is possessed by a demon, and upon the exorcism of the demon, our bodies will wither, we agree instead to just trap the demon alive in the body and just make them be our best friend and call them by our real name, just as if they're still there.
Yes, please do that so that I don't die forever.
Yeah.
Noted.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, guys. I think that's my Goosebuds. Thanks for listening. I love you all.
Happy Halloween.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys. This episode of Goosebuds is brought to you by our wonderful Patreon supporters. They include these terrific people. Asim Zaman.
Stephen Jive Turkey Kuwabara.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Meowers.
Kale Clinton.
SBS or Sibs.
Ryan Melfi.
Logan Troiano.
Kyle Billings.
Gettysburg.
Michael Knight.
Pen Mask.
Sarah Welch.
Jack Frazee.
Nathan Wainwright.
Connor Church.
Zachary Lawson.
Zenticles.
Landon Martin.
Ronald King.
Drew Applegate.
Heath Robinson.
Silo.
Alistair Perez.
Brian.
Victor.
Aaron Cole.
Becca McWilliams.
It's three guys who read Goosebumps, Morty.
Zam Bambino.
Stephen Smith.
Spencer Egert.
I'm reading ahead, sorry. Christopher McElvogue. I know you guys see the one I'm looking at.
Sven Stormbeard.
Patrick Murphy.
Ben Bohan.
Chase Nyman.
Psychomaster 1.
Nice. Carly Sarnowski.
Vincent Modica.
Aaron T. Strunk.
Nathan Remick.
Chris Culver.
Paul's responsibilities. You can't hide forever, you Italian dream boy.
I want to know what that is.
I don't know what that feels like a warning. I don't know.
There's a creepy mantis as his picture too, which makes it even scarier. Stephen Daniels.
John Jimko.
Brandon Rowdenbush.
Fausto the Taco Druid.
Brian Hamgood.
Matthew Stevens.
Fangirling with Mel.
Jennifer Britton.
Eric England.
Afshin Matoleb.
Bean Daddy Spookboy.
And Danky McStanky.
Just like Hollywood _
Sarah Kemp.
YT Chan.
Matt Flanagan.
Jubs.
Grady Wakeman.
The Rupel Productions.
Mayor Negotorium.
Yeah. Joshua Lopez.
Jordan Winkleman.
Honk.
Hi Raposo.
Martin A. Macias.
Daniel Callejas.
Oh. Kenneth Tyler Burns.
Madeline Volker.
Jim Greaves.
Jean-Luc.
Natu Pearl Henderson.
Christopher Bites.
Hollis Hornbeak.
Oh yeah, it's my boy Turtlemancer.
Zachary James Blacks.
Walter Frazier.
Ryan Fisk.
Ford Theater Reunion.
Sean Lyons.
Cameron Murphy.
Paul Grasso.
Ben Bueller.
Michael McDowell.
Nick Hayes.
David Cron.
Zangief.
Dagger Throwing Knives.
I'm a Kevin.
Joshua P. Robertson.
Tim Healy.
Ed Burdick.
David Cole.
Aaron Manchester.
Beware and warning. Beware. Okay. Watch out.
Anything. It could be anything. It could be that mantis coming for me. Mickey C.
Depio.
Jared Mason.
Kevin Boucher.
Taylor Dierks.
Derek Dalton.
Jonas Blatterman.
Cyrus Silvertree.
Matt Sadler.
Nick Hinkle.
Benson P.
Brian Fernenden.
Fred Atkins.
Nathan Dozal.
Clayton C.
Mike Lanteri.
Kyla Tharp.
Buddy Morrill.
Chris Birch.
And Joe. Sky.
Thank you guys so very much.
Thank you for the support. We love y'all.
Thank you.